Alright, today's episode is Alexander Kerensky's legacy. In orbit around Great X, Warden stood at the bridge staring out across the planet's glowing lights. Glancing down at the tablet in his hand, he skimmed through the files. Looking back up, he saw yet another Steiner ship leaving orbit toward the system's jump point. Darius arrived and stood for a moment before coughing to draw Warden's attention. "You wanted to see me?" Darius was clearly confused and curious about the message he had received. Something about restructuring personnel? "Don't worry, Darius, you're irreplaceable." Warden gave a half smile before gesturing at the tablet in his hand. "I need some free agents from this way station, and I won't feel bad about leaving people here with the ability to gain passage to any rock in the sphere." Handing Darius the tablet, Warden's smile was gone. "The personnel I've listed here need to vacate their bunks immediately. And, try to come up with a polite way to tell them they're being replaced and their services are no longer needed." Darius paused for a moment. "I'm sure I'll think of something." That evening, the mech warriors and crew, old and new, stood in formation as Warden paced before them. "We've had a shift in our roster while we were given the opportunity. I need the best men and women in this company if we're going to beat back the clanners." He paused and looked each of his crew in the eyes. "The enemy has been bred and enhanced for war. They train from youth to death. They have superior firepower and technology." He paused again, letting his words sink in. "However, we will prevail despite their advantages. They are far from home with strained supply lines, and while they live for battle, their conviction is aimed at Terra, and the planets they take on that path are insignificant to them. We will be underestimated, and with each victory we will take their tech and become stronger." Warden began pacing again. "Our goal here on Great X is to resupply and train before heading directly to the front line. Learn to work as a unit, and we will reclaim the clanner territory and push them out of the sphere." Coming to a stop at the center of the formation, he turned to his mech warriors. "Any questions?" Zed spoke up with his usual candor. "Why are you fighting on our side? Word is you came from these clans." There was a slight murmur, mostly from the newest additions to the company. "Don't get me wrong, you've been good to us, but some have wondered. Some who are..." Looking around, Zed paused, possibly just for effect. "No longer with us." Warden was aware of the grumbling, mostly from the mech warriors and crew he had released, but it seemed the time had come to address the matter directly. There were two primary mindsets in the clans. The Crusaders believed it was the purpose of the SLDF Exodus to regroup, improve, train, and one day return to the Inner Sphere to unite the warring houses and usher in a golden age, with the restoration of the Star League. By force, if necessary. Warden shook his head at the notion. The rest of us understood Alexander Kerensky led the remainder of the SLDF on the Exodus so we would not become embroiled in the battles between the great houses. We believe it is our duty to stand by until the sphere finds peace, and we can return as a function of that peace, to join the unified inner sphere as peacekeepers and protectors. We called ourselves Wardens." "Oh, I get it!" Bulwark's grin was genuine as everything fell into place within his mind. "Sounds good to me, I'm with you." Falcon chuckled. "I didn't care much for history, so I'll just take that as we're the good guys." Zed's usual cynical smile dominated his words. "As long as the pay is good and the salvage is interesting, I'm in. Just thought we should get that out in the open." Wendigo's gaze was fierce. As one of the new additions to the crew, Warden had not earned her support. Actions speak louder than words. But if you're being truthful, I will be the tip of your spear. Buckeye seemed to take Warden in with a newfound understanding. "We're here for you, just like I know you are for us. Try not keeping such heavy burdens to yourself." The rest of the formation seemed to murmur with generally positive or indifferent reactions until Zed cut in again. "Follow-up question, Commander. Isn't it about chow time? There were a few chuckles. I have nothing else, so you're all dismissed. Enjoy your dinner. Warden couldn't help feeling some relief. It seemed he had successfully culled the men and women who lumped him in with the enemy. After a few more drops, team cohesion was at an all-time high, and the Argo was operating as efficiently as possible. Now, Warden turned to the next task at hand. As he walked into the mech bay, he saw Yang was a step ahead of him, already going over the company's salvaged Atlas. Alexander Kerensky's design stood tall over the rest of the mechs, formidable and embodying greatness, despite its mangled armor and exposed internals. Approaching, Warden kept his expectations in check. I hope you have good news for me, Yang. Yang tossed something to Warden, and, as he caught it, Warden turned it in his hand, puzzled. Do you want the good news or the bad news first, boss? Warden, still puzzled by the half-melted steel in his hand, readied his mind. Bad first, then cheer me up. It'll take a month and a half with what I have at my disposal to repair it, but it won't be fully combat ready. Warden nodded. A mech that size wouldn't be as easy to repair as the Phoenix Hawk, and they had been struggling to keep it operational. And the good news? That wreck in your hand is an emergency maintenance shutoff for a fusion reactor. Warden furrowed his brow. How is that good news? Yang paused, realizing he wasn't talking to a mech tech. Boss, that's how your team powered down the Atlas. Its engine is whole and fully functional. Warden smiled. Things seemed to be going quite well. Soon he would be able to push to the front and bring honor to his blood name by ensuring Alexander Kerensky's true legacy was upheld.